The Kavanagh report, have you got faith in it?
Well, look, I think the Kavanagh report is one bit of evidence that actually has been in place for a couple of months, and ASADA have had it for a couple of months. So it's part of an evidence bank that they're pulling together, and we need to let them pull it together and get to the point where they can issue an infraction notice. They're not at that point yet.
How far away is an infraction notice?
It's difficult to tell because these investigations change. I'm told I'm not an expert in these sorts of things, but I'm told investigations take a different course, and these things have changed. So they're trying to build a body of information, and the Kavanagh report is one part of that, and it's been in place. I don't know, maybe for 6 weeks or so. It's that kind of order of time.
Is an infraction notice inevitable?
Well, I think nothing's inevitable. I think at the end of the day, we've got to get the investigation, and I don't want to sound like a stuck record because I know I do, but the investigation's got to run its course, and if it can get to the point where there's evidence, an infraction notice will be issued. We form a tribunal, we prosecute through the tribunal, and there's a series of appeals through that. So I don't think it's inevitable, but I think we are in the middle of the investigation, and that's the sad fact of the matter.
Stephen Dank says that the report is unfair and incompetent. What's your view on that?
Look, my view has always been that actually human rights and fair play is really, really, really important. So when you're gathering evidence and you're building a case, it's really important it's done properly and it's done thoroughly, and you take all things into consideration. If you ever take one bit of information, invariably you get it wrong. ASADA are the people they're the experts, they're the people with the skills and the resources, and they need to work it through as a whole thing, not a piece. And if you take a piece, you do invariably get it wrong, mate. So
you wake up today, you come into this lunch, and then you see 3 pages in the paper talking what substances people may have had. I mean, how do you talk about that to women here today?
Well, look, women here today, women represent over 40% of our game in terms of their participation in our game. We've got the great and the good in there, and today's about celebrating, increasing and celebrating what women do for our game, because frankly they're the backbone, and I'm really pleased and proud to be able to do that. In terms of the day, well, you know what, I've spent the last week. On Friday I was in Papua New Guinea, and we did a programme for 50,000 Papua New Guinean kids whereby they're participating in rugby league. We're giving them reading books, we're giving them PT kit, and there were 100 kids or something running around, and that was fabulous. Last night I went down to Brookvale and watched the Roosters play against Manly, and it was a fabulous game of footy. So I'm trying to keep it all in perspective, and frankly that's what's great and good about the game. The ASADA investigation is an important piece, but it's one piece.
Dave, do you still have confidence in the ASADA investigation?
Oh look, the ASADA investigation needs to run its course, and I think it's got to get to the end, and I think the frustrating part for everybody is where is the end, and the information that's being gathered, when does it result in infraction notices? I mean, that's what everybody's waiting for. I think the ASADA team have got to get on with the investigation, be left to get on with the investigation, whatever route that may take. What I want, like everybody else, is transparency, and I want it to be timely. But at the end of the day, it's their investigation, and I know from a fans and from a member's perspective, they must be looking at the outside, expecting, understandably, when we're going to get the end to it. But it's not something that's in my control.
But is that a yes, that you have confidence in their investigation?
Look, I'm absolutely working with ASADA closely, and I will continue to do that. The only way through that is to make sure that we cooperate, we work together, and we get to the end of it. There's no other alternative. It is what it is in that sense, and I think I want to get to the end as much as everybody else.
How frustrating is it for you though that days like today are being overshadowed still by this investigation, and it's going to continue for weeks to come?
Well, look, of course it's frustrating that we've got a 10-minute presser here, and I can't talk to you about some of the great things I really want to do with the game. I would love to be in the position to be able to do that, and I hope that I will be in that position soon. But I come back to the point, it's one part of a very big pie. Rugby league is very important to lots and lots of people, and you see wonderful things happening in the game. It's been a great season so far. We've seen some great footy, and I know that will continue. And I think you've got to keep it in perspective, but nonetheless, it's a very important piece.
Dave, when are you next scheduled to meet with ASADA and get an update?
Mate, I would speak to ASADA probably every other day, so it's very regular contact. It's been pretty regular contact throughout, and if you think back right from the start, I instigated a weekly meeting with ASADA, with Aurora, So I've been trying to keep on the front foot in terms of making sure the thing keeps going in a timely way. I'll talk to them anytime, any place, as much as I need to make sure we're doing our part of the bargain.
Have they given any indication that they might want to restart interviews with the Sharks players? I heard Paul Gallen on the radio after this morning saying what we might expect that.
Look, I think interviews are they're part of the mix, and they need to. ASADA need to figure out what their investigation strategy is, and we shouldn't put pressure on them in the sense of the strategy. My issue is not to try to tell them how to do their jobs. Frankly, they're the experts. I think the key thing is, I want it done quickly, but at the same time, it's got to be done properly. And there are no shortcuts to that, I'm afraid. And they need to use all of the measures in their disposal. It's their investigation at the end of the day. I don't have the information that ASADA have. I couldn't conduct this information, even if I had set up a full-blown investigation team. I'm not in that position. So it's they've got to get on with it.